There I am. All right, hard yarners. Today's episode was quite
awesome.
Quite nice. It is our last episode of season 5. So, how good?
Yep.
But before we get on to who was on, this episode today was brought to you by alltradescover.com.au. Who you can, if you're watching right now, you can see behind our wonderful guests. Delby, give an example.
Oh, if you're a tradie and you get your tools stolen by an unnamed criminal, I'm sure that alltradescover.com.au can talk to you.
I'm not going to say that that's 100% what will happen. I'm not going to
Neither will
confirm
I.
or deny that. But,
But
for legal reasons and trade insurance reasons.
That's
I don't know.
So
But
whatever insurances you need, have a chat to alltradescover.com.au. Give them a call if you can or an email. But they're made to look after sole traders, basically, and looking after the little guy.
100%. This episode's also brought to you by Kahuna Golf.
New sponsor.
Yeah, new sponsor. Got them on board. I should be wearing the hat right now, shouldn't I? But they're bloody awesome. No, not over there. They're it's such a good good feel. Like someone who plays a lot of golf, I fucking love it.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't play golf, I feel like I can play golf when I wear their stuff.
There you go. Yeah. Perfect. It does feel good. It looks good. If you like the floral
Party
stuff. And they've also got some more simple ones. So they're awesome. So Kahuna Golf, they've got a discount code for 15% off. Go to their website and it is HardYarns15 is their discount code. Nice. So for all of our listeners, you can go on there and get some amazing golf attire and suck back a few beers.
Yeah, while listening to Hard Yarns or Flog Cabin.
Well, if you're going to suck back beers, you would be sucking back raunchy beers. Raunchy Brewing Co. The beer that's actually good.
Yeah. But we're joined by Andrew Hamilton from Flog Cabin and from Shit's Going Sideways podcast.
Good memory.
From Nikki's better half. Awesome pod today. What did we cover?
This episode of Hard Yards is also brought to you by psilocybin mushrooms.
Allegedly.
Use promo code Mushroom Guy.
There seems to be a common theme the last month or so,
Well, we spoke about Andrew did a little bit of time for dealing mushrooms, but he's turned it into a positive, enlightening experience. What are the odds? Doing stand-up comedy.
Yep.
What else were we talking about, bro? We had...
We talked about dick jokes. We talked about... just me performing in a juvie and hopefully performing in a prison very soon.
Yeah.
And just some of the weird stories of my time behind bars and my time growing mushrooms.
And interviewing killers that have their girlfriend bust them out with helicopters.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't a killer. He was a bank robber.
Oh, sorry, bank robber.
There we go.
Yeah. So I don't want to stereotype. I don't want to mispronoun him.
But it is very, it's a good underdog story. I love that, not coming of age, but those stories where you come from underneath. And
I did ask him. I asked him, how many banks did you rob? And he goes, just the ones I got caught for. That's classic prim answer.
Perfect.
He got nabbed.
Classic.
So without further ado, let's get hard.
Let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Delby.
And Cameron Branch.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
Perfect. All right. Sick.
We were absolutely just hitting a gold vein of
Damn it.
good chat.
Yeah.
So I've told we just put a quick time out. For you.
Well, carry on. What was going on? Where was the conversation going?
Andrew's got a crime pod.
Crime pod, yeah.
Where people turn their lives around.
Yep.
Yeah, so
hopefully.
it's called Shit's Gone Sideways, and I just talked to anyone who's had like a crisis point in their lives and then turned it around. But I've had a bunch of guys try to pitch me that they'd come on. I'm like, you're still active in crime. you need to do the rehabilitation.
You've got a resume of like, hey man, I've done home invasions, or whatever you need me to do.
Yeah.
Whatever's a good story.
Oh, like if it's like I've just turned things around, like okay, when did you stop doing crime? Like, a week ago. It's like, that's not a long enough gap.
I'm gonna do the Rogan. I'm gonna say keep that close to your
Yep.
mouth. Sorry,
Yep.
such an asshole move.
Yeah.
But
My first guest was a guy named John Killick, and he was famous because he was like the most famous person in Australia in 1990. What was it? Wait, maybe it was the year 2000. He escaped from Silverwater Prison in a helicopter.
I remember that guy.
His girlfriend hijacked a helicopter at gunpoint.
That's so gangster.
Like around the time of the Sydney Olympics, landed in the yard. He jumped in. They flew off. They landed somewhere near Macquarie University, and they were on the run for like 3 or 4 months.
oh my
Now,
god!
did she learn how to fly a helicopter for him, or did she have the guy by gunpoint?
So I think she had the guy by gunpoint.
Wow.
But I think one of her relatives, that maybe her dad, had been like a helicopter pilot, so she knew a couple of things.
Fuck.
And then she was watching like helicopter escape, prison escape movies involving helicopters as research.
That's so good.
And
That's the kind of girlfriend I want.
right?
Someone that comes in with a chopper.
He had 2 different women break him out of prison.
What?
And I was like, John, I can't get a text back. Like, what's the secret?
true love.
Nikki sits over there going, excuse me.
This guy must have a huge hog on him, right? Like,
Fucking oath.
Yeah. Fuck that. So did he talk about how he convinced these girls to do it?
Yeah.
Or like...
it was just love. They just
Wow.
loved him. I think he was just. He said that he didn't have many relationships in his life, but the ones that he had, they were just
fucking good ones.
strong, man. I mean,
What was the second breakout?
I think that the second one was actually had happened earlier. He was just under police guard at hospital, and a girl came in with a gun, a fake gun, and held them up to get him out of there.
And did these girls eventually get caught and go to jail?
Yeah, so when he got caught after being on the run for 4 months, she got arrested as well and did many years.
Yeah.
And they were writing letters to each other back and forth like every day for like most of it. But then she found God, I think about a year or two before they were going to get released, and she never spoke to him again.
Never again.
Nah.
That's such a fucking flip.
Yeah.
That is such a flip, man.
Fuck.
Oh, what a
Love makes
turnaround.
you do some interesting things, Delby.
Yeah, it does. Pegging.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, fuck.
I'm yet to do it. The girl I was seeing really wanted to, and I just don't get there.
What? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's not.
Heaps of girls
That's not
have
my
a
fucking
fetish
shit.
for it.
Really?
Yeah.
They
And
want to
heaps of
peg.
guys like it. Hey, Nikki.
I've never had anyone pitch me. What is it? Do you look peggable? Like, what's causing?
I don't know what it is, man, because I host Sunday Singles as well. Anytime pegging comes up,
Yeah.
like the girls always want to do it and the guys want to get pegged. So,
The guys want to.
yeah. Yeah. So,
What's going on in this crazy world?
could be a Perth thing. So,
Fucking hell.
well, each to their own flavour. Do what you want.
Doesn't. I don't know. Have you ever had a little tickle up the door?
Yeah, but it was almost like a hashtag me poo.
Yeah.
I didn't want it.
Yeah.
She was like, all I wanted was a BJ, man. This was when I was younger.
Yeah, and
then-
slipped the.
And she started trying to figure my ass before anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maybe if I had a raging
look.
hard on.
To be honest, I found it quite. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
What is the
But
male G spot's up there, right?
Shocked. I was
Apparently,
shocked.
yeah.
Yeah. But
You were shocked?
yeah, I wasn't expecting. I didn't
So
ask
you
for
got
it.
finger raped in the bum.
A little bit. Like,
Yeah.
That's how it happened to me as
What,
well.
has
Yeah?
it? I don't know how.
Outside of
What is it?
jail or in jail?
It's a little like that.
Shocker.
Yeah, just like, oh, okay. Anyway, it was nice.
Yeah. Oh, well, we found out something new about Branch.
I think there's a big difference between a finger and like pegging. It sounds like
With a strap on,
it's
yeah.
the really extreme end of it, right?
Yeah.
Are we lower, do you reckon, in sound? Sorry, I'm just freaking out about the
As
sound over there.
Between us and Andrew?
Yeah. Nikki, there'll be 3 there. Can you level them out a little bit-ish? Sorry.
I think.
I'll go and do it. You carry
Yeah, no,
on talking.
it's all good for me.
Don't fuck this up, Nikki.
Yeah, Andrews went up a little bit when you changed it up, but yeah. Well, that's that. Did you you didn't ask for it and she chucked it in?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
What's with that, man?
Yeah, I don't
If
know.
we did that to a chick, we're getting done.
I feel like me poo's gone a trend now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about that, eh? Because even if you did that if you were fingering a chick and then tried one in the bum, you know,
Oh, I don't know.
you definitely need to give some warning.
You just get a little, no. wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
man.
I don't know if I've ever tried that.
Yeah, I haven't.
I've never done the
I can
door.
tell you I haven't.
This pod's not going the way I anticipated. Or maybe it is going the way I thought it would.
Other than John, what was some other highlights? Was talking pre-pod that someone had to take one down because they were actually a keynote speaker.
Oh, really?
I've had quite a few bank robbers. I had a guy come in and talk about his suicide attempt. I had a couple people in the army. One guy talk about PTSD. Oh, that was when I was talking about how I'd had this like hour and a half long, really emotional chat with this guy about PTSD and his struggles after being in the army. And then he went home, and then the guy who runs the studio where I record out of, he was like, "Oh, I've got some bad news. The whole time we recorded, your voice was in robot voice." I'm like, "What?"
See, that's not even an option here, though.
No, I don't know how that would
Tell
happen.
me more about that. So my options, I haven't released this episode yet, so either I have to go through and listen back and try and understand what I was saying in robot voice and record that voice again, or I have to just get him back. And he lives in Tasmania, and it's like, fuck, it's just, and it was also such an emotional chat. It's so insulting to have to be like, hey man, we have to redo this whole thing.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like, what, did you record it on a phone, like the filter?
No, it's just regular pod stuff, but just some button was
so strange.
pressed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've had an episode where we had, who did we have?
Well, there was one with Wolf.
No, that just didn't record the whole.
James McCann.
James McCann came on and just.
Fuck. Have you met James McCann yet?
I have.
Comedy?
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
he was nice enough when he opened for Mark Normand in Sydney. I took a photo of McCann and posted it because he was crushing. And then he messaged me like a few minutes after he got off stage and was like, "Do you want to come meet Mark Normand?"
Oh, wow.
And so I went, like after the gig, I went and hung out with Mark Normand and we went out on a piss together.
That's
It's
so
fucking
good.
amazing.
So,
So,
so you were invited.
And that was in Sydney?
Yeah.
sorry?
In Sydney?
Yeah, in Sydney
fuck
at the
yeah.
Enmore Theatre. And oh man, I was so thankful to McCann for that because
Yeah.
like I love Mark Normand.
Yeah.
'Cause,
so good. I literally just listened to half an hour of his stories this morning.
Oh, really?
He's a fucking deviant, bro.
Who? McCann?
No.
Oh, Mark Normand. Yeah. Both.
James McCann is a man of God.
Yeah.
It's so funny, like hearing that he's like a very religious guy, but then he's like his stand up does not reflect that at all.
100%.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He's like conflict.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, Mark, when he came over, Wolfie he got the WA one, but McCann got he got the rest of the tour. Was that right?
Yeah.
He's doing well. Where's he gone? He's gone to States?
McCann's going to the States, but was he, when I caught up with him in Adelaide, he said he was just going for family, not for gigs, unless he lied to me.
Oh, I'm not sure. I know.
Yeah.
I'd heard that he had some interest in going over there to pursue comedy. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Probably a bit
ask
of
him.
both, maybe,
Yeah.
potentially. I don't know. Didn't ask him, but he said he's going to risk it for the biscuits.
Yes, I must do it.
Yeah.
So did you meet him through comedy or just through...
Yeah, I think we'd done a gig at the Comedy Store together.
Yeah,
And
nice.
Just that.
Yeah.
Got along.
Because how long have you been doing stand-up?
Bit under 2 years.
Yeah, so super fresh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
fuck.
good.
So, no excuses for me then.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same, about 2 years. as
Yeah?
well. Yeah.
What did you... what was your blow-up? So obviously you going to jail for magic mushrooms,
Yes.
from what I read.
Well, it was last-
allegedly.
That's bullshit. They should be given to everyone. Let's put it in the fucking tap water.
I think you might have had some guests that say allegedly. I already got convicted. I'm definitely guilty. So, yeah. Definitely guilty. Large commercial supply of magic mushrooms, large commercial supply of acid, and then commercial supply of MDMA.
So big movement, not like...
Commercial is over what?
The thresholds are pretty low, to be honest. I think I had like half a kilo of mushrooms. I had like 300 acid tabs.
Wow.
And like maybe like 40 grams of MD, something like that. But
That sucks, because 40 grams, if it's good, like, you could just be stockpiling that for yourself, allegedly.
yeah.
Like, that
But
sucks.
even like the street value of half a kilo of mushrooms is fuck all anyway.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's part of what we argued in court
Yeah.
that kept me out of prison
Yeah.
in the end. So I spent 4 months in remand, which is like unsentence prison. And
Yeah.
then I got bail and I was under house arrest for about 6 months. And then that was when I started doing stand-up.
Yeah.
I entered the comedy competition called Raw and I had to bring my mum to my first comedy gig because
She was your parole officer.
Yeah, because, well, my bail conditions were that I wasn't allowed to leave the house unless I was in the company of my parents, who were both in their 70s.
Oh my god!
And so
How old are you?
I'm 37.
Yeah.
And so I went to a sign up on the night, like really rough open mic comedy gig where it's just a bunch of incels talking about, just getting racist and like wanking and and my mum's there.
Stock
was watching.
standard raw. Yeah.
And
hey, you just described my whole set.
Yeah.
there's some good stuff in there. So I did that and just fell in love with it and started just luckily soon after my bail rules were relaxed and I was able to go to comedy gigs like every night.
Yeah.
And then I did Raw and then I got through to the state final that year and then just kept doing more and more comedy and building up an hour. And then I went to Melbourne Comedy Festival in April this year, and I got nominated for Best Newcomer.
Oh, sick!
Pretty
Fuck.
sick. And then
That's awesome.
off the back of that, I got an agent and a book deal, and like my life's changed. So it's
What's
like
the book deal? Have you written it yet?
Yeah, I've already written. Oh well, I'm actually finishing it at the moment. So
And I can't even fucking write.
I've got a book now. That's pretty sick. Is it untitled or you got a title?
yeah, it's going to be called "The Profound Benefits of a Stint in Prison."
Nice.
And
cool.
so,
So a positive life turnaround one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So
What's the what happens to that? Because it doesn't sound like magic mushrooms. Doesn't seem like you're in a real heavy scene or anything. So, and then you're chucked into
If
prison.
any of the drugs, it's all like the good positives.
yeah,
like, that's how it goes.
exactly. Like, love.
Yeah.
yeah, I was a laughing stock of the prison. You know?
Yeah.
They're like, this guy's in here for mushrooms.
Yeah.
Because how does remand work? Because I feel my mates that are in, they were getting sentenced, but hadn't been charged, but were in jail. Now, if they had been found not guilty, that time that you spend in jail, how does that work? Do you get like...
compensation?
No.
They take your life away.
No.
That's fucking insane.
So it is almost like the Tate said this with his stuff. You know, the punishment is the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, the judge, in theory, is supposed to look at the evidence against you and weigh up how strong the case is. If it looks like it's a pretty weak case, they probably won't send you straight into remand.
And what they keep you, bail conditions or whatever.
Exactly. Like, right, you might have an ankle bracelet or like some other, they might take your passport, all that kinds of stuff, put up a house, whatever.
Yeah.
But because the case against me was so strong, they figure if it looks pretty compelling, they're like, you might as well start your prison sentence now.
Yeah. So when it eventually gets to the courts,
Yeah, you've already done most of your time.
Yeah. I had someone close to me do the same.
But the reality is, some people might do 2 years remand for something where they ended up getting sentenced for 1 year. Like they did more time in remand than they would have for the crime,
that
right?
sucks. Our system is. What did you find? What did you learn from the system from going through that?
I think that there's no real truth in sentencing. You could have a different judge, and I could have gone home that day like I did in court.
Yeah.
Or another judge who's had a bad day, or didn't get a BJ off their wife in the morning, or
a
like,
finger in the bum.
stuff,
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm looking at a few years. You know? So
Wow.
No consistency.
No, there's no consistency.
Yeah, that's fucked.
And you can have a good lawyer helps, but a good judge is better.
Yeah. What was so compelling? Were you just in photos like this? With a sash? This is mine, big sign. I own this.
Well, it was more that they raided the house. They found so many drugs in the house.
No, that was my parents. What did you learn? What was different, man? Because when I go visit one of my mates, the stuff he tells me, to catch up on, it's all just like high school gossip stuff, but stuff that has no relevance out here. This bloke's doing this and we've got this many packets of fucking Tim Tams and I'm fucking cooking this in the kitchen.
That's it. You find ways to entertain yourself. I remember walking around the yard with a bunch of other boys just talking about just spotting that someone's drinking a lot more coffee than usual. He's having a lot of coffees lately. What's going on there? And we'd be talking about it for 2 hours. What?
Just doing
What's he prepping for? What's he doing? He's fucking buzzing.
I heard his missus is coming in a helicopter.
Is coffee like a luxury or what's that?
Yeah, it is. I used to get the Nescafe Blend 43 on the buy-up, and that was my heaven.
Yeah.
I'd have a couple of those every day, and Yeah, when I was at Parkley, I'd have a few boys in the cell, and we'd all sit there with a nice coffee and just have a chat, and it just felt
Something about coffee,
Yeah.
Smell. I don't know. Like, I actually said to someone the other day that my measurement of if everything's okay is still that even if you're having a bad day, you're fucking whatever's happening in your life, if you can push the buzzer on the fucking coffee pod and you can smell that coffee, for me, things are all good.
Yep.
That's what it is. I don't know why. That's the smell, the fucking whole process. I don't know what it is. That's what it is.
When you're in a shit place, like prison, I think some of those little things, just a morning ritual, just something that you enjoy, just helps you to manage it. And to be honest, look, there's a lot of people that have horror stories about prison. I ended up having a great time.
I got paid.
Like, I just exercised and sunbaked, and I played touch footy with boys and chess, and I watched movies at night.
Because it was remand and it wasn't as...
Oh no, I was in maximum security remand. Like I was
Really?
I was full on, but like, you know, unless you like are racking up a drug debt or talking shit or like have a gang beef, you don't really get picked on too much. Plus, I mean, it helps that I'm a reasonable size, but I didn't have any dramas at all.
Well, that's lucky.
I found most of the guys in there, they're not evil. They're just guys that have got on the wrong side of the law for one reason or another, and they're just trying to do their time, get home. Yeah. And so I found most of the guys in there are pretty decent to each other. And if someone's struggling, I see a lot of guys that would try and help that person. Right. Try and G them up. You know, try and raise their spirits.
Is bikies as big a problem in Sydney?
Yeah. Plenty of them around, but they're really only dealing with dramas with other gangs. You know, if they know the difference between guys that are civilians in their mind and guys that are involved. And so...
So no one tried to stand you over? You never got...
Nah, man. Nah. And some of those guys I was really close to, and now they come to my gigs. Like my people that come to my shows send me on both sides of the law. Right? I have a lot of prison officers, cops, and crims come to my shows.
Wow.
Awesome. That seems
the
to
cops are there because the crims are there.
they're just taking notes, a little photography.
So you got like a huge following. Has that just come through, obviously social media, but like, has that come through just consistency of posting clips? Was there something that like resonated about your story? What was it? Was it just something you built slowly? Because I didn't see there was a spike or anything. I just seen the content was good.
Combination between a whole bunch of shit. Like at first, when I first started doing comedy, I started posting my prison food reviews, all my lunches and dinners, because I was so bored in there. I just used to like review my food, just to keep my brain active. And so I started just reading them out on camera for TikTok. And some of those blew up, and I got some media coverage out of that, which was cool. And then,
did they let you bring your reviews out with you? Like stuff
I had them just on paper, and then I would mail them home to my parents because I was... That's pretty funny. Because I was worried about them getting stolen or something like that. Like, you get a bit weird paranoid sometimes in there. Like, who wants to steal my food reviews? You know? Yeah. But, like, you know, you get convinced that the screws are going to, like, just come in and try and ruin your day by just taking things that are valuable to you. So I would hand copy every single one of my food reviews. Nice. So they call it the prison photocopier. You just write something twice. Yeah, sick. And so I would do that and just mail one copy home to my parents. That's fucking good. So when I got home, I had
little
2
mementos.
Copies. Yeah, because the day I got released, I was half about to roll all the sheets of paper up that I had and shove them up my ass. Because you get paranoid, man. Like, I thought... I'd heard stories about like people having like really important stuff to them, and on the way out, the screws just took it and rip it up and throw it in the bin. And I was like, so I was like, fuck. But then in my head, I'm like, nah, that's not going to happen. And it didn't. Absolutely didn't. But
that's like a poo roll.
But you get some weird thoughts. Yeah,
because then if you got, I mean, how would you get it out? You're not going to read it again. You won't be able to read it. There's juice in your ass. We don't juice up. Wouldn't it wet the paper?
Well, I was going to put it in plastic first.
Yeah,
Come on, mate.
I didn't even think about that. It's like you're just going at A4.
I was going to protect it.
Yeah.
But do you go through things in there where you start going like, I shouldn't be in here. I can't believe... Because in my head, I got this thing about prison. I got this weird thing about prison in my head that...
You're in almost your prison greens. Did you have greens?
Yeah.
Oh, you got
always in greens. What are you on about?
I've got this odd feeling about prison where I'm like, you're born onto this planet and there's just this unanimous decision amongst everyone that they understand that that's the place where you go when you've been naughty and you're not allowed to go. You're not allowed to leave. And I find that so weird. I know, I understand there's a place for it and I understand why we send people there, but I just find that so weird that there's a place where everyone just agrees, yep, you've broken the law, you have to go there and you're not allowed out.
It's a weird melting pot in remand as well, because you've got guys in there for murder, with guys who are like done non-violent drug dealing crimes or like stolen a bike or something like that, and then you've got guys in there who I spoke to who were in there because they for driving while disqualified, and I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, it's my 11th time. The judge was like, I don't know what else to do except send you to prison.
You haven't learnt the first 10.
So you've got this insane mix of people all in, because when you go to remand, particularly when you first arrive, you go to like a transit prison, which is where you get held, and then they give you a classification based on your charges, and then you get sent to another remand. But because I was on large commercial drug supply charges, I was given an A classification, which means I had to be in maximum security while I'm in there. And so you're in there with guys that are in there for
life,
kidnapping, murder. I mean, this is before they got sentenced, but they're probably going to get 20 years or more for whatever they've done. And so if I had been sentenced, I would have gone to minimum security because it was a non-violent crime. But when you're in remand, it's a fucking Wild West. You're just in there with like.
Well, I assume there'd be people like they're coming down, they're
drying out.
But
you don't really dry out. There's drugs all over prison, right? Allegedly.
Yeah, but they're really scummy drugs. You know, like it's mostly ice and buprenorphine, which I think...
heroin replacement?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I think it's called Suboxone in other places, subbies. But in New South Wales, they call it bupe.
Yeah.
And I stayed away from all that shit because I was like, the last thing I need is another drug addiction. And not some really shit one where there's just guys scratching their arm and fucking shooting it up in the corner of the yard. I was like,
fuck. Surprises me that there's still... Like some of my mates that got out, like they were just in there, on gear
the whole time. It flows through. Even when there was a lockdown and there was no visits, no family visits because of COVID, it was still flowing through. Like, it just cannot be stopped.
That's what you need. You just need your missus in a helicopter to drop it off. Top. Were you in during lockdown?
Yeah, so
you had no visitors?
No, I had no visitors. The day that I had my parents on their way to drive to see me, they cancelled all visits for like the foreseeable future. Fuck. And so that hurt. But I was locked up basically the same time as the COVID lockdown in Sydney, from like from middle of June to the middle of October 2021. And so while those people were locked in their houses, feeling isolated and having mental health issues, I was playing touch footy and having a laugh in the yard. And I was like, this is not that bad. You know, like I was being far more social in prison than people were in the real world.
Like, that's crazy.
I know, and this is obviously going back even further, but how does someone get into that scene? How does it happen? Because I can see how... It's happened to close friends. It's quickly a slippery slope. But yours doesn't seem like it was the worst.
Mine was not a slippery slope. It was very slow. I was selling drugs for about 15 years, and
just for side money, or
it started just as just something just to help out mates because we really liked mushrooms. And I
fuck.
You know,
sucks. We need a GoFundMe. Recompensate him.
A GoFungi.
Hey, here we go. That's the clip.
That sucks, Oak.
Yeah, I went to Thailand. I had mushrooms. I had the best fucking time on these mushroom shakes in Koh Phangan at Mushroom Mountain. And I came home and I told my mate how good they were. And he just had like a far more analytical brain than me, and he just started researching how to grow them, and he ordered some spores off the internet and he started growing them, and then we had enough for us to party with, and it was fun.
Who'd have thought you'd come up with that at a full moon party?
Right?
Yeah.
And so then he was just growing them in his apartment, and we had enough for just us and our friends. And like at the time, we just had these fat, wet, juicy mushrooms. And I'll be at a party with these fat, wet mushrooms, and we're trying to figure out how to get high on it. And it's like, it tastes like ass. And they're so wet and juicy. So we're like eating like half a jar of peanut butter with the mushroom just to get it down. And then we get really high and have a fantastic time.
Yeah.
But then I was like, there's got to be a better way. And so I said, what if we dehydrate the mushrooms, like in a dehumidifier, and then we blend it up into a powder and cap them. And
Yeah.
so we started doing mushroom capsules.
Yeah.
And then
Now, did you research this or did you invent this?
this is just an idea in my head.
Yeah,
And,
because mushroom caps are a thing, right?
Yes.
But you've just thought of this independently.
So, I mean,
Fuck,
yeah,
mushroom magic.
I would have been one of the pioneers of
Yeah.
mushroom capsules. This was about 17 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
and it didn't lose any of the potency or any of the...
didn't lose any of the
Yeah,
potency,
right.
and it was great because then we knew the dosage because each cap was 1 gram. So I could tell people so you could avoid the taste and you could also have consistency of the high.
Yeah.
So suddenly a business was born, and so friends would ask to buy them off me, and then their friends would want some, and slowly over many years it went from just being something that a few people bought for camping trips and things in summer, like to being an all year business.
Yeah.
Wow.
There used to be a huge dip in winter where no one would want to buy mushrooms, but then there would be a huge spike when the Vivid Light Festival was on in Sydney. Yeah, so it'd be like quiet. Then middle of June, bang, huge spike, and then as soon as it got to about October, things started to warm up again.
Yeah.
Huge sale of
So
mushrooms.
you became like an amateur horticulturalist. Is there
Indeed.
a word for a fungus?
a mycologist.
There we go.
Mycologist.
Yeah.
Holy
So
fuck.
you did an unofficial degree. Now,
Yes.
did you find that, like, even though it was a gram of the powder, did different mushrooms have different, like, amounts of psilocybin in them? Like, is it going to be more in a stalk and maybe one mushroom's got more than the other, so there wasn't like a super consistent, or was it generally...
They were generally pretty consistent. We just stuck to gold top mushrooms because we grew a bunch of different ones at the start, but we found gold tops to be the most user friendly.
Yeah.
And also they seem to grow slightly faster.
That bad boy right there.
Like that one there. There we go.
That's the one I had.
Yeah.
Found out, Golden Top.
Cubensis is the Latin root name.
Very... Like, yeah. We got fucking Latin, mycology. It's an educational
So
pod.
mushroom nerd. I saw you had another mushroom nerd on recently.
Yeah, so he's a psychologist of addiction.
Yeah.
But they've been doing clinical trials on MDMA, ketamine, and mushrooms to help with addiction.
Man, they're so good.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we found that, I mean, if you blended it all up into a giant pile, then it was just...
The average.
It would average out.
Yeah.
And so our job was just to make sure that the standard was either good to very good. Was always like, that was just, as long as people are having a fantastic time, that's all we need to do. So, I would sell them to people, and, you know, over the course of years, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and people would come to buy mushrooms off me for the first time. They'd be like, I've never done mushrooms before. And I'd always say the same thing. I'd say, start with 1 cap. If you're having a good time, you can always have more. But if you have too many, you can't go backwards.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would try and ease people into responsible intake of mushrooms.
Is this what you told the judge?
I was very responsible, sir.
I said, I've actually got a mushroom for you. Yeah, just
He'd
try
probably
it.
go, fuck yeah. Adjourned.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, that side of things, it sucks that people go to jail for that. And like, I mean, MDMA, I don't think that should be illegal either. But then it's weird, like 40 grams of MDMA compared to 500 grams of mushroom.
Yeah.
I feel like the MDMA charge. What had the more charge with it?
The mushrooms was the
Really?
thing that I was in the most trouble for.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that because
That's interesting because MDMA is the one that's probably the most dangerous because of the contaminants. Not the MDMA, but
it was it's a class A, or it was a class A. I don't know. It's obviously they've legalized it for medicinal use now, so I don't know. It might have changed. Probably isn't a class A anymore.
just recently, I think MDMA and psilocybin moved for medical research.
Yeah, but unfortunately, when I was getting sentenced, that wasn't the case. So we just had to argue different arguments, and part of which was like, mushrooms and MDMA and acid are not the drugs destroying society.
Yeah.
Isn't weed still a Schedule 1 or Schedule A or whatever they call it?
I don't know.
From memory, I don't know if it is anymore potentially because it's been legalised, but for the last 10, 15 years, it's been same as heroin.
That's crazy.
Well, luckily they're slowly, it seems that judges, at least in New South Wales, someone told me that they don't think it's the same in Perth, but in New South Wales, they're becoming a bit more understanding of drug crimes and their impact, particularly specific to the drugs I was involved with, because I was told my same charges, maybe like 5-6 years ago, I would have done 3 or 4 years, including, let alone I got caught with like half an ounce of half an ocre of coke, and half an ocre of ketamine. I could have done a year or for both of those.
Yeah, right.
And I got they pleaded them down to personal use.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it seems like the times are slowly changing.
Yeah.
Fingers
crossed.
This is it's probably people that would listen to your podcast that would call me a fuckwit for this, but it'd be guys like just like we'd lay in the yard at Long Bay just talking about this, a bunch of drug dealers laughing about how in another 100 years we'll be viewed the same way that bootleggers got viewed during the Prohibition era. Like
Probably will.
It was just the laws of the day.
Yeah.
That we
100%.
right. But none of these guys were inherently evil people.
Yeah.
Like I never felt evil when I was selling people drugs for them to go on a camping trip or to a music festival.
Yeah.
Right? I was just helping facilitate fun in the same way. And from my personal experience growing up, the things that nearly destroyed me were alcohol and gambling.
Yeah.
So
I love a good punt, man. So it's
like
fucked
Delby's two vices right there. Bang, bang.
So I was like, my life experience from doing all these drugs was that they're dangerous, sure, but they're no more dangerous in my view than gambling or alcohol.
Yeah.
We've spoken about it recently with the alcohol being.
It's the gateway
It is the gateway drug. It's probably the worst, and it's because it's so unassuming. You can operate pretty well on it, and then especially if you're a functional alcoholic. But it's
everyone's seen that graph that has like damage to self, damage to others of all the drugs, and alcohol's like just a million miles ahead. And then at the very far end, like this little beep is mushrooms.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm interested though, like, is that I haven't seen that stat or that data, but is it per capita, or is it that's the reason because alcohol is legal? I don't know, potentially. I haven't considered those sorts of things before, but
don't know. But
maybe if there was a million people a night running around in the streets of Perth and Sydney or whatever, and they're all on mushrooms, there might be mushroom related ones.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I've certainly growing up had plenty of beers and been involved in fights. I've never tried to fight someone when I'm on mushrooms.
So true. What were you doing before you went to jail? Were you working, or were you just figuring out how to turn mushrooms into?
No, I was working. So I used to work in public relations for many years, and then I was like a director in various public relations agencies. So I would just help companies to get into the media or stay out of the media when they got in trouble and that kind of stuff. And I was quite good at that. But then the whole time I was just moonlighting as a mushroom dealer. And
right. So how can you get us into the media? Say something very controversial. 3, 2, 1, go.
Have you used those contacts for your stand-up?
I have not. I mean, because it was mainly corporate contacts. Like it's not really that useful. But I certainly have used some of those PR skills to try and promote myself for my stand-up. Like I was certainly, when I went to Melbourne for the comedy festival, reaching out to every reviewer, being like, hey man, like I'd love to have you along to the show. This is the pitch on who I am and what my show's all about. And luckily out of that, one of the guys from The Age came along to the show and gave it a 4-star review, which was like pretty awesome at the time. So
and people love an
Reviews are
underdog story as well.
Yeah.
I think that
you beat the straight white male. Fucking, what's your background?
Yeah, I was straight.
How dare you assume his gender and his sexual preference?
I'm going to throw it every time. I like to succeed so quickly, and everything is against us.
Yeah, it's not easy for a straight white man. You're right.
It is.
What the fuck happened? We had everything.
Because reviews are so.
I think that works in my favour that I've been to prison. Like they're like, okay, he's been taken down a peg. Let's let him talk.
Right,
Let the man speak.
let the boy watch.
That's fucking sick.
But I went to Melbourne and my show, I was in like a small room. I got rejected by the comedy festival for like a festival managed room.
Yeah,
and
dude, always. I'm 7 years in. I still can't get one.
Yeah, but you suck at comedy.
Well, yeah, that's true. So I've only got one award. So. I need to invite the agent. Actually, fuck it, man. I'm going to go commit a crime.
It worked for me, dude.
Just say the reason you've been single is you're gay. Oh, I'm coming.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Delby finally gets pegged. Yeah.
You're calling me the gay guy. Look at your nails.
Oh, look at these. Look at these beautiful, the watches and Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty.
Yeah,
all right.
Scotty.
Yeah, his daughter painted his nails.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Pink and,
I think you can get away with it if you're a dad. If you had no kids, suddenly there's more questions.
Mate, I went to a Boxing Day party. What is Boxing Day yesterday? Day before?
2 days.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Went to a Boxing Day party, and it's all my mates that we've all been mates for fucking 15, 20 years. It was the group that for 10 years, you're sitting by the pool, you're throwing up, you're fucking Sam Booker shots, it's thing. And then everyone brought their kids the other day. I think it was 5 people drinking 0 alcohol beers. There was 4 or 5 guys with painted fingernails and toenails.
I can't wait to be a parent.
And
Sad state of affairs.
and I was like, what the fuck happened? And then there's the one guy who's like, oh, you pussies, keep going.
What, he's drinking 0%ers.
Yeah, no, he's not drinking 0%.
Yeah.
But did he have kids there?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
There's just the
nice.
one guy who's
Okay.
always like,
He's
you
just
always have the one guy in the
he's
group.
just-
Oh, you pussies,
He's
still be.
he's just the bad dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it changes.
It's a great way.
Yeah. But yeah.
Where did,
pink fingernails.
But yeah, I did this show in Melbourne, and I was late at night. I was at like 10:40 at night. That was like the only time I got offered.
Yep.
And I thought that was going to be like fucked because I was doing the show on like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night at 10:40 at night.
Yeah, rough.
And I was like the latest show in the entire festival by like 2 hours on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays,
Yeah.
which ended up working in my favour because I was the
Really?
only show on.
Well, who was going out?
So
Everyone that's high.
I guess
Everybody.
people in hospo or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and they're looking at like, oh, are there any shows on? There's one show and it's called Jokes About the Time I Went to Prison.
Done.
And they're like, oh, do you want
That's such a good.
do you want to hear some fucker
Yeah.
talk about prison? I'm
Yeah.
like, actually, I'm pretty pissed. Like, yeah, actually, I do.
Yeah.
And so it worked in my
What
favour.
sort of numbers were you getting through?
So the first night I got to Melbourne, I had 5 sold, and then 17 people rocked up on the door.
Perfect.
And this room can only fit 40 people. So having 20 plus in the room, it felt full.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
And so the show went amazing. And I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit, I'm a comedy guy. This is going to fucking... I am built for
They're here
this.
for me.
I am a guy. And then the next night, I only had 4 sold. I'm like, that's fine. I'll get more on the door.
Yeah.
No one else came. It was.
Fuck.
I did the show to 4 people the
How'd
second
you know?
night.
That's
And it was a hot 4, but... man.
It's tough, eh?
It's like... I liken it to every night is your birthday party.
Yeah.
And you're just worried if anyone's going to turn up.
Yeah.
But this is like every single night. You do it
Yeah.
night after night. So it feels like shit. Then you got to shake it off because you got to do the show again.
Yeah.
But luckily then I started to get a couple of the judges in. I had a review from Chortle that came out, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
a pretty
Yeah.
good review. Gave me
Yeah.
3.5 stars. And off the back of that,
Was it the actual Chortle guy? What's
yeah,
his
Steve
name?
Bennett.
Yeah, really?
came. And
Right.
So
How, did you know much about him before that? Because he's like,
I know he can be
Rated
ruthless,
as- yeah.
particularly to newish comics.
Yeah.
So I was stoked with
Yeah.
3.5 stars.
3.5 in
and
2
and
years
it was like
is,
and it was like a 4-star write up. So
Yeah.
I was like, happy days.
yeah.
And then after that, I got nominated, and then the numbers started to get better and better and better,
Yeah.
and I ended up having to extend the show by an extra week.
Fuck yeah. That's good.
And-
So
But
that's
you
where-
made a little bit of money?
Yeah.
I definitely made a bit of money by
Yeah.
the end of it because I got upgraded to a bigger room. I did it last week at the Victoria Hotel in like an 80-seat room and sold
Yeah.
that out. So I was like,
That's a
happy days.
dream run.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
now like one of those things where the story itself is part of the selling point.
Yeah.
The fact that you've gone from that to selling rooms, and people
From
want
selling mushrooms to
selling
selling rooms.
Yeah.
Just take out the mush.
100%.
There we go.
It's inspiring, so people want to come and hear it, and then it'll just build its momentum.
Selling
And
crush
the next
rooms.
thing you know, you're doing theaters, and that's how that sort of comes. But it only happens if you put that first step in place and try.
Yep.
Like, if you didn't do it, fucking.
I thought I was crazy when I first started doing stand up. I thought I was going to get booed off stage and people weren't going to be on board with me talking about.
Well, that's not normal, is it? I thought it was normal.
I thought that people were going to object to me doing jokes about getting arrested and going to prison and being a drug dealer, but people were on board straight away. And
Everyone loves
even
that fly
like
on
you
the
know when
wall.
like you can see like a straight older bloke that like has never been involved in crime in his whole life.
Yeah.
Will come up to me and be like, "Good on you, mate." Like they like
Love
the
that
fact
shit,
that like
yeah.
I'm just doing anything other than crime. Like
Yeah.
that's
It's like
Yeah.
the fact that I've chosen to do comedy instead of just going back to selling drugs.
Yeah.
That's enough for some people to be like, he deserves a pat on the back.
Yeah.
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 And the fact that it's a bit more topical, it's about you don't have to rely on current events and stuff like
And
that.
it's something
Yeah.
different that people haven't heard. It's always good.
Yeah.
Have you- have you-
getting ex-cream, a woman. Just a different point of view. Yeah.
Yeah.
Punchlines, not lines.
And you don't rely on that fucking, I mean, I haven't seen much of it, but the dark sort of like, almost.
Well, some of your stuff I've seen is fairly dark, but
Yeah,
it's nice.
You know how some people will lean towards
And
racism
Nikki's
or
PG.
fucking yeah. But you lean towards racism or fucking misogyny or something like that just to be that point of difference, sometimes people do that and they won't be able to pull it off. So
Yep.
it's probably a good thing.
Most of mine's pretty self-deprecating. It's mostly me making fun of myself or just funny stories from jail. But yeah, I don't try to be controversial for the sake of controversy. Sometimes things are a little bit controversial just because they're just the wild things that I saw.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
just what it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, actually, I felt like, have you guys watched Ricky Gervais's new one?
No.
No,
I felt like
He's
this
just trying to.
this one just felt, and I'm a fucking big Ricky Gervais fan. I felt like this one was a bit just trying to be controversial for the sake of being.
it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there was one ripper N-word joke, which I've never laughed so hard at a joke about the N-word. And it was executed flawlessly.
Does he actually say the N-word?
No, he says the N-word, says it like that. But fuck me, executed perfectly. But there was other moments where I was like, what
Why?
do you, what, like,
Yeah.
you're being a cunt right now. Like, and they were laughing, and it was funny, but just felt a little bit.
I've always found personal stories are usually the best.
Yeah,
Something that's
100%.
happened to you, because then that way no other comic is going to have the same premise or material. So when it's like something that you've done, I've found all of my bits about personal shit always crush more than stuff I've tried to think about and like restructure. It's like, it's way better if you're like, I was here, this happened, fucking this junkie tried to fucking stab me. Like,
Yeah. There's a bit that I'm doing at the moment about having cocaine blown up my ass with a straw.
Nice.
And,
Nice. So, there's a few things going on your ass in this podcast. We're slowly.
Are you into pegging?
Nikki's over there starting to smile.
she was the one that blew it up.
Yeah,
It was her idea.
She's got a condom in her finger right now.
You know, that kind of stuff, I think, no one else is going to necessarily have that story or just also just like the thing, the scenario where it happened, like all this stuff just is so easy to write a joke about because it was so funny when it happened.
Shit, I was partying with wanting to do that, but I'm like, I just can't bring myself as a full-grown man to like lean back with my legs up and have someone else look into my asshole and fucking
Hand me my ankles.
put a straw.
Next time I'm back in Perth and you have me back on the pod, we're going to do it live on the pod. You wanted some newsworthy content?
Fucking hell. That would sell.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm going to tell you what, if we can't put me getting spanked by a dominatrix on thing, we can't put that.
Oh, that's gold.
Oh, classic. They've
did
all
you
got taken down. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Like, even recently, we got
He had
other
a ball
ones.
go.
For getting spanked.
Yeah, but it wasn't even real sexual stuff. It was like just examples of what it's like.
Yeah, we had a dominatrix on. I spanked him.
Delby spanked me in a prank.
Yeah.
Like it was meant to be.
Prank spank.
And they got taken off Instagram or TikTok or where?
I think everywhere.
YouTube,
in the end,
Instagram.
I find TikTok to be the most sensitive.
Oh yeah,
to that
100%.
kind of stuff.
And there's no like back and forth when it comes to appealing something.
Yeah.
It's just like,
like
I
you're
appeal, failed, or you're right.
Yeah.
They're
So-
the judge. Straight off.
Yeah.
Speaking of racism, did you find there's a racist divide
Ooh.
when you were in jail?
There's certainly elements where you could see that like races stick together.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime like all the Koori boys would have a town hall meeting before they do anything. Like if someone was going to get bashed, they'd all stand there and like talk about what was going to go down.
Yeah.
And, you know, that kind of stuff.
And Koori's the local Aboriginal group there?
Yes, from New South Wales, and all the Middle Eastern guys would. I mean, a lot of those guys were Muslim. They'd pray together, but I mean, other than when you'd hear that, like when brawls break out, guys would generally stick to races.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But,
It's so
but
primal.
other than that, everyone would just be mixing.
Yeah.
You know, you'd play cards, you'd talk, you'd exercise, whatever.
Yeah.
It was a mixed pot.
It's funny how it goes straight back to that primal instinct when it's like survival mode.
My cellie was who I was closest to. He was Kiwi, and when we first got moved out of quarantine into like a mainstream yard, he had like a couple of the island boys come up and give him like a huge pile of buy-up food, like noodles and just welcome him, and that does not happen with the white boys. Yeah. It's just like, you're on your own, mate. You know.
I wouldn't take it because I would think that they would want something back in return.
No, they didn't want anything in return.
Unless it was the actual island boys. That's the white boys.
It was just like we've got to look out for each other in here.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
kind of thing. But I did have some luck at Long Bay. My first day in the yard, a few times I'd have people recognise me and say, "Oh, I've done time with you," and I'd be like, "No, this is my first time in jail," which was problematic because I was like, I don't want to look like some other guy in case that other guy's a fuckhead.
A kitty fiddler or something.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to be accused for someone who's in the shit. So I was always like, nah, you got the wrong guy. And then this guy comes to me, he's like, I fucking know you. And I was like, no, you don't. And he's like, mate, you used to buy me and my missus beers at the Colombian Hotel whenever you won money on the pokies. And I was like, holy shit. That was me. And
who said gambling was a problem?
Man, gambling finally paid off big because this guy was one of the most respected guys in the yard. He vouched for me. Which was pretty useful in a yard that had like 30 murderers in there. And then I got hooked up with a sandwich press and a kettle, and he was a sweeper, and so they would get like a carton of fresh eggs every week, and you couldn't buy them on the buy up. Right. And so every week on my pillow, there would just, when I come back to my cell, there'd just be one egg.
Laid an egg on your pillow.
It's like the Long Bay chicken coming to visit me, and so like every week I just had one fresh egg, and it was so good. I'd cook that egg up on my sandwich press on my Breville with some bread, and like just when I ate that one egg in my cell with a coffee, I was like, you forget you're in jail for a few minutes.
Those reviews were good days.
Oh, that's a good day.
I'm interested.
Oh, you fucking egg.
What was the like catalyst to make you go, yeah, I'm going comedy, I'm going with purpose, I'm changing my life, I'm getting away from it. Was it just getting arrested and wanting to, or was there
it was
a time
sitting
before that?
It was sitting behind bars, and I was like, my life's fucked. I was like, I felt like I was just dead. And I was like, there's just no coming back from this. I'm totally gone. And then there was an article came out in the paper about me. It just said like, from pizza man to accused party drug king, because I used to own a pizza restaurant. And I was just sitting there thinking like, okay, if I could have a redo, if I could just like press the reset button on this game of life, like, what would I do differently? And weirdly, there was only one answer in my head, and that was stand up.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you do any jokes in prison? Were you known as a funny
did you
guy?
start
or you
practicing?
just-
No, you don't want to like, because you say the wrong joke, it can go pretty pear-shaped.
Fair point. I've heard of hecklers, but fuck, yeah.
I'd be dead.
Yeah, so I would test them out with my celly, and I'd be writing things down, like joke ideas, but I wasn't like sitting in the corner of the yard, like, is this thing on? Then boys, gather around. I'm going to roast you all.
I would be roasted
It
anyway.
must feel so. What's the word? Like, not stuck. Yeah, stuck. When you've got, I've got this idea now. I've got this goal. I've got this fucking purpose, but I can't do anything. Like, what? Like,
It didn't feel like I was stuck. It just felt like I had figured out what the next step would be when I get out. You know, it didn't feel like it felt cool to have an idea for something to do when I got out. So I didn't feel that helpless.
Yeah.
It just felt like at the time, I just describe it as like, instead of an out of body experience, it was like having an out of life experience. You're just sitting on the sideline, and your life's on pause.
Yeah.
You know, you're stuck behind bars
save
and,
point.
and your life's on pause. And so I was just about thinking, okay, well, when I get out, this is something that I will do.
Yeah.
And that felt cool because I was so used to just escaping down the rabbit hole of cocaine. Anytime something felt good, cocaine. Something felt bad, cocaine. And so sitting in there locked up feeling like shit actually started to feel good because it was such a raw feeling that I hadn't felt in so long because I usually just was so numb all the time. That gave me this time to think, okay, this feels like shit. I need to change my life. What am I going to do differently? And then so when I got out, I signed up to do Raw and started doing open mics and just threw myself at it. And I believed that it would work because I had the option between either going back to a white-collar job, working in public relations again, trying to hope that no one saw the news article in the Daily Mail or otherwise, But like I could have gone back to my old life. Or I thought I could do the opposite. I could be totally crazy and go and start getting on stage and being like, hey, I went to prison for drugs.
Yeah.
And it was pretty funny. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it felt so insane that I was like, I know it's going to work.
I love that because obviously
Manifestation.
belief is huge
Yep.
with everything. But I'm interested because I had a similar feeling with a completely different prison, which was a job that I was stuck in.
Yep.
And as soon as I made that decision that I'm going to work towards this, it made going to that job a lot easier.
Yep.
Did it make prison easier going, I've got this fucking thing that I'm going to do when I'm getting out there? Did it make it easier or was it more frustrating?
I think it definitely didn't make it harder. I think at the time I Once I let go of my old life, like my fiance left me, she'd rehomed my dogs. My restaurant went under. Like my whole, I lost my home.
She left you in 4 months.
Well, she dobbed me into the cops, and then she.
Oh my God! I was going to ask how you ended up getting caught. Why? Did you just have a fight?
No,
she was like, "Hey, by the way,
she'd had too much coke, and she had like a mental breakdown, and ran off, and like got picked up by the cops, and she had a bunch of my cash and drugs on her, and she told them that I was a dealer, and got the police raided. I don't know why, mate.
Why would you do that?"
So,
Well, I guess trying to get a plea or like a.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She was in a bad place mentally, and like, I don't,
gosh.
you know, I don't hold it against her. Like it's just, I get to do this cool shit now, and
Yeah.
so it worked out well.
But they wouldn't have known.
It was pretty shit. No,
That's always the rule, eh? They don't know unless someone tells.
I absolutely do not know.
Yeah.
No. And so, yeah, but when I was in there, you know, I all that shit had happened, and when I started to accept that my new life was just me behind bars and got okay with that, it meant that I wasn't in any huge rush to get out. I was exercising. I had like a good company. I was at peace with it. Like it's pretty relaxing in prison if you don't have any dramas, if you don't have any beefs, right? It's like I always say, real life's hard. Like prison life's easy. You just got to. Your job is to survive. You know, you don't have to worry about rent. You don't have to worry about groceries. All this kind of stuff. All you do is just train, watch TV, read books, and eat food. And so I found it quite therapeutic.
I'm a firm believer that when you get enough signs that potentially you always knew you wanted to do comedy, and this was the kick. The universe fucking takes over and goes, "This is the kick up the ass. We're going to put you in a situation where you're going to go, fuck, my life is fucked. I need to change it, and this is what I got to do."
Absolutely, and that's why, with the podcast that I do, Shit's Gone Sideways. I've talked to so many people who have only gone onto like such a good path after things went to shit. You know, whether that's major health issues or relationship breakdowns, or like a few people I've spoken to that have like left Jehovah's Witness, and like their whole family and friends like turn their back on them. Like all these people that have had these crazy like shitty things happen to them, but then once they've gotten through all that pain, they've got onto a really positive path. Yeah, and that's the way it went for me. And so if I never got caught, I'd probably still be a overweight fucking depressed cokehead drug dealer that didn't like the guy I saw in the mirror. You know?
Yeah. It's always something terrible that happens, something good after that terrible thing is bound to come from it.
Well, from our darkest moments, we find resilience, we find purpose.
Exactly right. You don't know sometimes what you've got in you right, until you get tested. Yeah. And that's why like, there's so many. I feel sorry for all those people that go through life and never have that moment where like they just simmer away, nothing too crazy happens to them. So they get to 80 and they look back and like, I hated my job. I was in a pretty loveless marriage. My life just was unremarkable. And like maybe if it's like it all had gone totally tits up 30, 40 years ago, they would have gone onto a much better path.
We got pretty similar pods. Ours is more like figuring out, doing what you love, and finding out if you've gone through something difficult, what the thing is. So it's a nice,
it is
a nice parallel.
Quite serendipitous, that one.
But man, I can't get over it. 4 months and she rehomed your dogs.
Yeah.
What do you mean, bro? Well, for you to be able to forgive, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But
the forgiveness is, again, I think that's another thing. You can obviously see that whatever's happened now has led you to the path you're on now. So you cannot be upset with whatever's happened.
I think stewing on hate is pretty exhausting stuff.
Fucking oath, yeah.
So I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
it's hard to reach that mindset though, man.
Absolutely,
it's easy to hold on to grudges and stuff. And
totally, when I was locked up, there were times where I just totally meditated on murder. I was like, when I get out, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna kill everyone.
At least you had a goal.
Wait a second. You were a pleasant mushroom dealer. Now you want to murder people.
At least you had a goal and a purpose.
You know?
You're like, I'm going to get on that guy's podcast to catch a killer.
Well, I had some pretty bad guys that I was mates with. They're like, look, mate, if you ever want her to disappear, we can. I was like, it's such a nice gesture to offer to murder someone on your behalf. But I was like, look, man.
I appreciate the offer.
It's really touching. I'm like, thank you, but no. But it means a lot that you've said it.
Did you come to these realizations on your own, or did the books that you read help, or did you find somebody that was a mentor, or... I think
I came to it on my own, really, just by just going through it and finding that once I kind of freed myself of that negativity, I felt a lot lighter.
Yeah. Well, you jested about meditating, but did you actually meditate or anything in there?
No, I didn't really. I didn't meditate, but
stewed.
Yeah, just tossing. Wait till I get out of here. Everyone's gonna pay. Everyone's gonna pay.
Every motherfucker.
But then you get out, you're like, fuck it, who cares? Let it go. I'm just gonna move on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on stage and say some dick jokes. And
Yeah.
that'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I think to be honest, like a lot of like my first jokes, like was it came from a place of anger and rage that I had, and that was my outlet, was comedy. And so I don't know if everyone kind of always has that kind of mindset to when they're writing jokes, but mine was like, I need to write this in a funny way because I'm really fucking pissed off about it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
your
I get
demeanour and attitude does not reflect that right now. You look like a cuddly little teddy bear.
I'm not cunt.
Don't let anyone hear
All
you
right,
say
that's
that.
the end of the podcast. Fucking hell.
Where did you guys cross paths then?
We talked on like Instagram for like over a year just
Really?
about comedy. Yeah.
You didn't do Ride a Prisoner? Yeah, right. That's pretty cool.
I remember, Nikki had posted about like wanting to do some gigs in Sydney, and I'd mentioned some rooms that she could do, and
like my room.
and I said, feel free to mention my name, and she was like, "Who's this open micer?" Saying drop my name.
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like quite a big deal in Sydney, you know.
All the guys like, who's that? You wouldn't have met. Oh, have you met Legacy then?
I have.
Fucking Legacy.
Yes.
You fucking back.
Yeah. I've tried using his name and they don't let me in.
No, I would never drop his name ever.
Fucking Kyle. He's back. When is he back? To
17th. 5th?
The 10th, I reckon, just as you leave.
Fuck, man. Are you going to aim to go to Edinburgh?
I'm sure I will at some point. At the moment, it's not exactly easy for me to leave the country.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
So I got sentenced in July last year.
Yeah.
To a ICO, which is essentially the most heavy sentence you can get without being in prison.
Yeah.
So it's called an intensive corrections order. It's essentially doing a prison sentence in the community. And so as part of that, I had to do 200 hours community service, and I have to I have to get permission from the state parole board to leave the country, and I have to get permission from community corrections to leave New South Wales.
Right. So have you got permission to be here right now?
Yeah, so they...
VIP exclusive on the hard yards.
So they are very supportive of me doing comedy.
Yeah.
So anytime I want to go anywhere for comedy, they always sign it off. But when Nikki and I wanted to go to Bali... my original reason, I was like, I just want to go to Bali and have sex with my girlfriend. And they're like,
you can do that in New South Wales.
and they're like, no. They're like, but if it's a work trip, that's okay. So I had to like reach out to comedy rooms in Bali and be like, hey, can I do your room? And they're like, yeah, man, no worries.
Sick. Did you do the one in Canggu?
So there's one called I think Bali Comedy Club. That guy was away, but there was another one called Secret Comedy Club, and they put me on.
Sick.
And I had a great time doing
I'll
it.
have to check that out.
Yeah.
Where was that? Which part of Bali?
That was in a place in Karabakan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't that the jail?
That's where the prison was. Yeah,
It's so secret.
I was performing in the prison. Speaking of which, so how's this? 2 weeks ago, I got asked to perform for the New South Wales Drug Court.
Yeah, right.
Because they're fans. And
So like all the lawyers and judges.
No, it's like the people that work for the Department of Justice that work with inmates about like when they're in breach of their court orders for they're doing dirty urines and they've got to go back and they're getting warnings, or people that are locked up and they're trying to negotiate to get out and they have to stick to certain drug rules. Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's any of the lower end of drug crimes. Yeah, and so they had me come into their workshop. They're having a 2-day workshop, and they had me come in to perform to lighten the mood.
I love that.
And I said, that's cool, I'm happy to do it, but just so you know, one of my goals is I'd really like to go and perform in a maximum security prison again. And so they said, no worries, that's good to know. And then I went and performed. They loved it. And then a day later, I got an email from the head of security at Silverwater Prison to say that they'd love me to come in and perform. I'm going in there in about a month.
Is that nerve-wracking or what? Because like...
I'm sure it will be.
You've literally got a captive audience.
Yeah. So,
pun intended.
So So I went in and performed at Cobham Juvenile Detention Centre last week.
Yeah.
And
What are they? Teenagers though?
teenagers, I think between the age of 15 and 20.
Yeah, it's always hard performing to teenagers.
And man, some of those guys are in there for murder. And you know, I was doing dick jokes and so anytime I said cock, shit, piss, wank, cunt, huge laughs.
Yeah.
But then some of my jokes are like 1 minute long. I stayed halfway through zoning out. I'm like, fuck, I need to like get better at this because like it just has to be all punchy.
Yeah.
But so it was very hit and miss. But I think they were very happy that I came in. I know the Screws were very happy.
Yeah.
Like they were in tears, laughing, and even one of them. Because at the end I was just doing some like street jokes that I say on the internet, and one of the Screws came up to me and he was like, "Tell him the dead hooker joke."
15-year-olds.
15-year-olds, and he'd obviously like, he knew enough about my jokes on the internet that that was one he'd like written down. I really like that one. And
Fucking hell.
so he's like, "Tell him the dead hooker joke." I'm like, fucking hell.
How does it go for our listeners?
What are you shaking your head? It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. It's just like, what's the best part about having a hooker die on you?
Free sex?
The second hour is free. It's grim stuff.
Yeah.
It's not quality content, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, for 15-year-olds.
But it's so funny. This guy was like whispering in my ear, "Tell him the dead hooker."
Yeah. As someone in charge of juveniles, I used to be a teacher for 10 years. Like, they're still teenagers. You're throwing down dead hooker jokes. Although, you know, they're a little bit more life experienced than the rest
Fucking
of us.
oath they are.
Yeah.
I didn't know shit about shit when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Like even by the time I got to year 12, I didn't know anything. I still was like so raw. Yeah, they're fucking well versed now.
Oh, man. I would like to do. Are they going to pay you to do the prison gig, or is it a love thing?
It's a love thing. My goal is hopefully one day, if I prove that this is a good idea and it goes well with the inmates and the guards, then hopefully one day they'll let me film an hour in there. That's the long term goal.
If you do that, you have to go and go, "I'm Johnny Cash."
Yeah.
That would be the best.
Yeah, that's the long term goal, and that would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be
if I
cool.
could film an hour.
That'd be real cool. It'd be so.
It would be a fucking that would be a point of difference for a special as well.
I've got to
It's a
see
sea
how
of guys
it
in
works,
green.
Yeah. Because then
Live
it'd be
from-
interesting to see if they want to joke about what's happening to them at that current point in time as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah.
do they want to be reminded of it, or do they want to laugh from it?
It's
That'll
going to be a
so-
learning curve.
Yeah.
So I'll go in a month and I'll do like 15 minutes and see whether or not it hits, and make sure that they don't want to bash me.
Yeah.
Would you find some in jokes like Johnny Cash did with the Falls from Prison and get the water, and this water is bullshit, and pull it out, rev them all up? That would be pretty.
I would definitely try and find some stuff, like write some stuff specifically for them, just to localize it more.
The warden will be very happy
I
with
was
it.
even just thinking, like, I could just say, like, "Boys, like, where are the chicks? This is pretty gay."
Makes a noise if you're in a relationship. This guy's holding his pocket.
That's great.
I did. I'm not sure if I should talk about this, but
Well, it's up to you, man.
when I was at the juvie, there was like, because I had to go to 5 different units. I had to perform 5 times because the units are not allowed to mix because of like gang beefs and all kinds of hectic shit.
Yeah.
And after one of the units, I'd done like I have like a joke about there being a pedophile bakery at Long Bay Jail.
Yeah.
And so I did this pedophile joke, and then after we got out, the guy that was leading me around was like, "Oh, I should have told you that was the sex offender unit."
Did they laugh?
The guards, the Screws laugh. The kids, not so much.
Fucking hell.
But he was like, "Sorry, I should have told you that beforehand."
Yeah.
So,
and you can see that clip. That's on your TikTok. I think I saw that one. The bakery one.
How long are you over for? What are you over for this year?
He's here to have sex with his girlfriend.
Family, Christmas, all that stuff. What do you guys do for Christmas? Had sex in Bali. What do you guys do for Christmas?
What about Boxing Day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you were over there for Christmas.
I was in Sydney, so I just
okay.
had a family do. My 2 of my sisters live in New York. One of them is like a really successful corporate lawyer over there. So like she's like the, I'm the black sheep, like the absolute dud embarrassment.
Got a lawyer
of the family.
and an inmate in the family.
she's 2 years younger than me, and she's like a rich lawyer living in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
so
I know
it's
the
just-
two most depressing things that could happen to a kid, either in prison or a comedian. Probably either way. Oh, no. Yeah. Very
And then
nice.
back to Fringe.
And back for Fringe.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I'll be
sick.
here for Fringe. I'm here from like the 19th to the 30th of January. Just do a bunch of spots and then my shows, and then I'll do Adelaide Fringe, then Melbourne, then Sydney, then.
How do you go at running and drinking?
Yeah.
What do you?
Are you off the drink now?
No, I'm drinking, and that's been so. I've put on like 30 kilos in the last year and a half because I got really skinny when I was on the house arrest. I was just training every day, training the house down, and writing my book and writing jokes.
Yeah.
And then
And I can't even fucking write.
but then when I started doing stand up, because I get so much nerves, I'd have like a beer or two just to kind of calm the nerves. And then once I'd finished the gig, I'd either be buzzing because it went well, and I'd have a few more beers,
Or depressed.
or bad. I mean, luckily most of the time it would go good,
Yeah.
so that I'd have a few beers, and then I'd have like Macca's or something on the way home.
Yeah.
That's the go.
And then
Because
and then,
everything's closed
Man.
and the only thing opens Macca's.
and then you do that every day for the course of 18 months,
Yeah.
and I put on 30 kilos.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
why I've always thought after every gig, I want to go to a drive-through.
You want to drive through healthy.
drive-through.
Yeah. You've
If
mentioned
someone created that, it would make. Well, I don't know if it would make enough money, but it's like, I've wanted something healthy. And
But they
all
need to
that's
be
open
everywhere.
Is Macca's and
It needs to be everywhere because the thing that's so good is the Macca's are
Exactly.
everywhere.
It's fucked.
And you finish a gig at what, 10 o'clock and you're driving home 10:30,
Yeah.
11 o'clock.
Yep.
You can't find anything else.
So I had the problem when I did the Melbourne Comedy Festival was my show was at 10:40 at night. So I'd finish 11:40. I'd be buzzing. Most times I'd be buzzing. So then like I'd go to the festival club where every comic in Melbourne is
Yeah.
drinking,
Yeah.
and I'd get there at midnight.
Yeah.
And then like I'd be hanging out there till 3 a.m.
Yep.
Then I'd have to go home, and I was doing my day job, like working in event management, like
Yeah.
from 8 a.m. So I had to like have 5 hours sleep, then work my day job, and then have a nap from like 5 till 6.
Yeah.
Then start G'ing myself up to do the show again. And so by the end, I was just like, this is. My voice started to fade because
Yeah.
I wasn't used to talking that much on stage every night. I was like, holy shit, you really need to
It's
look
weird.
after
You get-
you need to look after your body.
Get
So-
game train. It's like Edinburgh's similar. You're on stage from like fucking 11 in the morning. Well, when I had my first show, it was 12:20, I think.
Yep.
Until 3:30.
Yep, and so you realise you mix
fucking nuts.
booze in, maybe some smoking, vaping, whatever,
Yeah.
and then you realise after the course of like a week or two, and you're like,
Gone.
I sound like a. And my show, when I'm talking about prison, sounds very different if I sound like this or if I sound like this. And so, suddenly it wasn't so whimsical and fun. It sounds like a guy talking about his trauma, and it sounds really grim. And so I was like, I need to look after my voice.
Yeah. That's like Wolfie at the end of a Fringe run. He's got no voice.
Oh, nothing.
Because
He's
he
just-
screams for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's
back
true.
Back to back. Yeah, we are doing our 52K run tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. If you want, I just noticed you were drinking coconut water.
Yeah.
It's like I suggested to him yesterday, this morning, drink coconut water if you want to be a bit more hydrated.
You're running 52 Ks.
He'll be
tonight?
running 52.
Yeah.
I'll be running. I'm going to aim for half of it. Most
Yeah.
I've ever run in my last 15. I've had 5 back surgeries. I'm fucking
Dude.
pretty sore. but
Still, 26 sounds awful too.
Yeah.
So we have you have
That's
a pint
that thing where you
every
said before doing
10
something
Ks.
hard. That'll be one of the hardest.
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
But he's done 100. He did 100K last year. and
Yeah,
80
but
year
the
before.
drinks are going to present a challenge. It's interesting. I've got like a little, I don't have a calf injury, but I got like, I'm getting calf sort of nervy little pains and stuff. And
Old
I'm
man
like,
legs.
fuck, man.
Yeah.
I can't, like, there's 6 or 7 people meeting us there to start it, and they're running the whole thing with us. I can't be like pulling out.
No.
And they finish.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is like for charity, something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the veterans, for
Okay.
Mick
Legacy.
Gledhill. Have you met Mick Gledhill?
I haven't. I've heard his name. I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, so he wants us to raise some money for.
Well,
for
he
them.
came on the pod ages ago and we said we'd do it.
Yeah.
So I'll follow
So-
on
Well,
to it.
that's
Following through.
that's the problem with these things is when you
Mate,
I remember, so I signed up to do a 111 kilometer kayak race one year because a bunch of us
fucked
a bunch of us were on a bender and
Yeah.
we were like, oh, that's a good idea. And
Yeah.
then like when like the next day happens and you just hope no one's going to mention it. But one of the guys followed up with everyone and so we're like, fuck. Are you? So then Next thing you know, 6 of us
did
did
it?
it in like in 2-3-man recreational canoes. And the most we had done in training was 40 Ks. And then we did the
40?
race.
That's still incredible.
Doesn't your back and your fucking shoulders just die?
I hired a fucking
Sitting-
kayak for an hour in Thailand earlier in the year.
Kayak was the name of a bloke.
Yeah. and I took it back after 35 minutes. My back was cooked. Like, it was fucked. I don't know how you do that.
It was also bad because it was like 15 hours, so the tide changes 3 times on you. It goes through the night.
Oh my God.
And so there's a point where in the middle of the night it'd be like 2 a.m. and you're going against the tide, and you just feel like you're not making any forward
not
progress, and you just.
What was it? Was it just an annual kayak race? That people
Yeah,
did?
it was called the Hawkesbury River Canoe Classic.
Shout out to
And
the Hawkesbury
like-
River. I think you're giving him
What's
ideas.
the one we got here?
Avon Descent.
Avon Descent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's a descent.
Yeah.
Like it's down.
I can't fucking kayak to save my life.
Man.
But yeah, fuck. But yeah, it should be fun. But how do you go running? You want to come and run 10Ks?
I'm not built for running anymore.
Yeah.
Built for speed or for
Built for
comfort?
Yeah, I'm fucking shitting it. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah. There are a few people coming. I'm actually impressed. People are, because I've put zero effort and I've not lost motivation, but I just lost sight of organising it properly, and so should have a bit of fun.
I did a podcast with Aaron Gox a little while ago, Goxy, and he's trying to G me up. He really wants to set up like a comedian's boxing night.
Oh yeah.
A fight night with
That'd
a
be alright.
bunch of comics.
Yeah.
And if we could get...
See if equality happens that night.
Bags.
How many
not
girls
taken.
are on the
Are
line?
you saying you want to fight a chick?
100%.
Nicky's on.
Yeah.
See, there's no upside to fighting a chick, because if you beat him, you look like a fuckwit, and if you get beaten up, it's humiliating.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's
Can't
the...
win. Can't win.
I think I'd get beaten up. I'd definitely get beaten up.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. That would be good.
You get some big names. You can get a few big names
Yeah.
to agree to fight. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Mate,
see...
that would be funny. They have to go up. They have to do a 5-minute set, and then they fight. Or they do a
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they do a
Or after?
fight
Yeah,
after.
Loser.
After.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Loser does
has
this-
to perform.
Yeah.
2 comedians, and then a loser has to perform.
Yeah. So Legacy used to have comedy boxing in Edinburgh.
Really?
Yeah. So you do 5-minute set, 5 minutes on a topic, and 5 minutes with riffs or something. And then at the end, whoever lost had to stand and dodge 5 punches from the other person. So you had headset and like they'd have to had to dodge. So fucking
Dodge, duck, dip,
Yeah.
dive, and dodge.
Legacy got a concussion the first time they did it.
I was going to say, so many people would be lining up around the corner to punch him in the face.
Mate, especially...
They didn't. They weren't. So they were supposed to go. Okay, ready, go. The guy just got the glass, whack, and just like, knocked him out.
Good.
Fuck. Oh,
Yeah.
mate. I've been knocked out in Bali before, in Thailand before, in a boxing ring with my best mate, drinking for buckets. So you
Yeah.
box for buckets in PP, and he clipped me, and I was fucked for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Headaches, like, the nervy pain up the back of your thing, dizzy.
Don't talk shit, cunt.
And that's just your mate. There's people that get in the ring drunk with like the guys that are actual like Muay Thai
Yeah.
like champions.
I
And,
got in
like,
against the German cross trainer.
Oh man.
It fucking was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
You get a few
right.
drinks and you're like, oh, this would be a good idea. And then it absolutely is not.
Nah, I couldn't walk for a few days. I was leg checking him.
Oh.
And then fucking, my
Yeah, we did
my
not
toes
do
were
legs.
fucked.
We were like, we're just boxing, eh?
Yeah. No, it was fucked, bro. 3 more minute rounds, I was cooked. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah. I had an amateur fight one time. I did like they have in Sydney, I think called Corporate Fighter. You just sign up and you it's like white collar boxing.
Yeah.
And I signed up to do that. You train for like 12 weeks. And I remember when I had my fight, it was like the end of the first round. My cornerman was like, "You're smashing him. Just keep doing that." I'm like, "I can't. Like that's
I'm done.
I'm done." Like,
I'm
three
cooked.
2-minute rounds is just so long when you're doing it. When you're actually fighting,
That's
and
insane.
So-
and then you watch fighters, you're like, oh, he's a fucking, look at him, he's given up.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, yeah,
third
yeah.
5-minute round in the UFC. Like, I would have fucking got up and smashed him.
oh man, so many
no
keyboard
chance.
warriors
Yeah.
are so fat and unfit. They die in 30 seconds. Yeah.
100% after doing grappling, just the grappling training, and
Yeah.
all you're trying to do is get inside position. And fuck, man, a minute, and I couldn't move my arms, I couldn't get them, I couldn't. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, and I know they train, but still, give them 3 of those, and you're going against the best in the world. Of course, it's you reckon they're going to feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you managed to get any other spots while you're here?
Yeah, I'm doing the Crushers Comedy Gala.
Yep, cool.
And then
Is that tonight? Tomorrow?
no, it's the 19th, 20th of Jan.
19th. I mean, this.
This week.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, tonight we're doing what is it called? The
Leaderville Comedy Club.
Sweet. Yeah.
What's that? What that's people vote on whether or not you're funny or something.
Traffic light one.
Oh,
Yeah.
traffic light. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did that 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's good. It's good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crowd really because that room,
It's a tough room.
It's a tough room, but then for whatever reason, with that system in place, the crowd is hot. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
they feel like they're more involved. I don't know. It's
such a divide. Like the room was so spacious.
yeah, it's fine now. That's fucking fixed it. Whatever it's, I don't know what it is. You almost can't fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We did Guildford Comedy
Oh
last
yeah,
night.
last night. Yeah,
That
it
was
was
sick.
Xavier. Yeah,
Yeah, they had like a sold out room. It was
Yeah.
packed. So
Yeah.
it was a hot crowd.
yeah.
And then Friday, Saturday, or time off.
That's it. I mean, I've just my job at the moment is I've got to finish this book by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a few more days of writing.
Cool.
And then that's done.
Cool.
And
If you use the code MEPOO, you'll get a 10% discount.
Yeah, who was on last? Was Pinder on at Guildford? Did I say?
Yeah, he was on.
Pinder?
Yeah.
That room's fucking incredible.
that was my
is
first time
so
seeing
hot.
him. He crushed.
he's a
he's
machine.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the
We got
best.
some good comics in Perth, man. We got
Yeah.
some good
Yeah, well, I've
comics.
gigged with Wolfie heaps of times.
Yeah.
There aren't that many good, there aren't many Perth comics that are coming to Sydney often, but
There's not.
Wolfie is amazing.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
not
because
enough money
Wolfie
in
wants it as well.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
the money here is good. And
Yeah.
like to fly to Sydney, you're almost always at a loss
Yeah.
if you're just doing spots.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll be coming to Perth a lot probably for
Sick.
obvious. But I love it here, man. Like I feel very fortunate now that I get to travel around and do comedy, and it's sick. Like it's just so. That's one of the perks is being able to go out of your hometown. And see whether the same like dumbass
works.
things that I'm saying in Sydney are
Yeah.
going to work.
Yeah.
And like luckily most of the time they do.
yeah.
Was it nerve wracking that first time you did that? Because it is like interesting. You're only 2.5 years.
Not even 2 years.
in.
Yeah,
and doing that.
When you do hear a lot about Melbourne crowds being like more sophisticated and savvy and blah 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 whatever. So you go in there with this mindset like, fuck, are they going to think I'm funny? But they like jokes. Like if it's a good joke, they'll laugh.
Yeah.
I had a great time there, and
That's good because you almost instantly find a crowd as well. You know, wherever you perform, you've got some people with something in common, which is good.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I've been able to move around a bit now. I've done Brisbane a bunch of times and Perth now a few times. And
Do you sit down or
I've done good chat
Good
and
chat,
and sit down a few times.
Yeah, sick.
Had a good time at both of them. But Adelaide will be my first time doing Adelaide in Feb.
Cool.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I haven't done Adelaide Fringe yet. I just walked my show over, but have you met Mickey D yet?
I've seen him perform. I haven't met him face to face yet.
It's fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah.
It's so good. So he'll have heaps of spots going, but James McCann obviously will sort you out as well.
Yeah.
So
well, if he's in town, who knows where he's going to be.
Yeah, fuck knows. So there's Catamaran.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we've got a fair few listeners over in Sydney, so
Do you?
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more than we anticipated. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely hit you up and go have a watch.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
Anything else to plug? Anything?
Just my butt.
I'll be in trouble if I don't plug. I have a podcast I do with two other comedians from Sydney, Daniel Muggleton and Tom Whitcomb, called The Flog Cabin, which is just three idiots talking absolute smack.
Yeah.
Flog.
It's nothing. It's low quality gear, but for people that are that are after that kind of stuff, it's good. And if you've got anyone in any cities that like my stuff, come and check me out. I mean, I'm based in Sydney, but I'm traveling around a lot. So I'm always love when people come up and say good day. And I mean, sometimes when I was in Melbourne, I had a few shows. People kept gifting me drugs.
Yeah, right.
Like, good show, man. Just wanted to say thank you. I had like a guy give me a cigar, a stick of weed, and a bag of coke.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is really nice, but like, I don't do drugs anymore. So I think I'm going to have a line around the corner, people volunteering to be my tech.
I was going to say, I'll make sure I got support spots.
because I kept giving this stuff to my tech. I'm like, hey man, do you want this? And they're like, yes, yes. I'm getting
It's worth
paid
more than I got paid.
I'm getting paid $12. Are you kidding?
That's
yes.
awesome.
Oh, fuck. Delby, what do you got to plug? Anything?
Depends
New Year's
when's
Eve?
this going out?
No, tonight I'll chuck it up.
Yeah, so
or
New
tonight,
Year's Eve
tomorrow
spot
morning.
at the Saint. Otherwise, I'll be partying at Wildlands or Cure at Port Beach on New Year's Day. So
Cool.
just no gigs.
I'm on
Yep.
New Year's Eve. Yeah, cool. So I'm on at New Year's Eve at the Saint. And then I'm doing the run tomorrow. So, Delby's doing the run as well, but we're doing the run tomorrow. So hopefully we see a few listeners. I might listen to our podcast while we're running.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want people approaching you when you're at Badlands? Off your face?
At Wildlands.
Hey man,
Yeah.
really enjoyed the
I'll
pod.
have my tech with me if you want to give something to me.
And aside from that, I don't know, this spot here. Let's get this spot paid for.
The
Where are we?
microphone spot.
The microphone spot right
Sponsors.
here. Because 23 million views last year, just on Instagram and Facebook. So
Wow.
and that's improving. So let's sell that spot. If you're a brand and you want it, fucking
All right, get on it.
pay me big bucks.
Sure.
But aside from that, thanks so much for coming on, man. Fucking
man.
awesome
My
episode.
pleasure, boys. That was fun.
And we'll get you back on.
Yeah, I'd love to anytime.
Cheers.